morning.
I haven't a clue what I'm going to talk about. However, one thing I wanted to mention is that these times that we're in right now, all of us, and I mean all of us, I don't care about politics and what your opinion is of whatever. All of us are dealing with a society that's changing and a world that is sometimes chaotic. And over a week ago at the Natural Law workshop that I give, I talked about chaos. And chaos, to me, is a primal energy. It is not just a law in nature. It's an energy force. And it's that place in me right now that hasn't a clue what I'm going to talk about. And it's that place within each of us that may feel uncertainty or may feel a question of what's happening or be looking for more definition or understanding. So many of you have come here looking for greater clarity, and many of you are still going to wonder about that when I finish. But the topic that I want to mention about with chaos is that chaos has no sense of direction. It's an energy, and because it has no sense of direction, you can feel it about just about anything. Because there's a little bit of it in everything. And that isn't bad or good, right or wrong. There's not an uncertainty about the word. It's just the fact that it's one of the energies that all of us deal with when you get up in the morning and you wonder what you're going to have for breakfast. So it's not about all of the monumental decisions and things. So how do we deal with this time frame? This sounds rather serious, doesn't it? However, one thing I wanted to really mention, Rosie, is playing, being playful. Being playful is not necessarily making fun of. Being playful is having a little bit of a lightheartedness just about anything. It doesn't make fun of it, but one of the things is the spirit of any of us, including short people, including older persons, excuse me, that got my attention, is the fact that having a playfulness allows the spirit of us to develop more and more of a sense of passion and to have much more of an awareness of participation. Hang on. Woke me up. Anyway, one of the reasons I wanted to mention about play is because so sorry.
You want a Lawson?
Oh no, thank you. I can't talk and suck on that. If you want me to be quiet, not yet, not yet. The spirit of us works best at play, and the information about that a lot of people don't understand. And yet, how many times have you done something because you really wanted to do it, and it didn't make sense to anybody else, and it doesn't really matter, and it turned out to be kind of fun, funky, or crazy? Crazy doesn't mean it harmed other people. It just meant it was something different. So playing, one thing that happens in our life is the soul of each of us has two emotions. Those emotions are boredom or joy. And it's not the person sitting in the back row, you can't take him home, he's got to take me home. But joy that is enjoyment of life is the fact that it doesn't mean that all of it's cheery and it all works out really well. But it also is that any of us begin to discern that our lives have confusion, that there may be a little bit of chaos, that we're exploring more and more and more and more all the time. So it's an interesting thing in a spiritualist church because there are many things that are done, that have been done in these churches for many, many years. And there is going to be an event on table tipping. And when there is what we call phenomena that demonstrates, there can be a playfulness with that, and then there can also be a very strong seriousness, depending upon who's presenting it or how it's presented. One night, not long ago, a few years ago, I had in my home a night of scotographs. For any of you who are not familiar with that term, it really is regarding spirit pictures. When I was in my early 20s and started exploring mediumship, I went to Tallahassee to visit some friends. And one of them was a photographer, not professional, but at that time, he had all the chemicals and the paper and everything in the home. So I said, oh, let's do photographs, spirit photography. So we sat there were 3 of us. I think he had been having beer, so I don't know how legitimate this was. But anyway, but the little picture that came out for me was of a hand. And it was a hand like that. And I thought, well, that's interesting. I have copies of it if you ever doubt this. You don't doubt it, though, because I have the negative of this, too. So a professional took a shot of it. And the hand looks white on the gray, swirling background of the photographic development paper and how it turned out. So I stared at the hand for a minute, and I went, because around the wrist, it looked like a bracelet or a watch. And it really kind of reminded me of a 3/4 length white glove. Well, my great-grandmother, who I knew until she was 94, used to put her gloves on before she went to church on Sunday morning. And she would attach her watch to the outside of the glove. So, now, we're in my living room up in Casadega. I have covered the windows with this queen in dark. Actually, I think they were garbage bags that I cut up, but nevertheless, I would have sounded effective. Anyway, so I covered the windows and taped them so that the room got darker and darker and darker. And I thought, oh, this is great. And then I got a light bulb that turned red. No, I'm not selling anything. Remember the playful. Okay. So anyway, the room gets darker. There were about 10 or 12 people there. And so now they're in, and half the room has never done these before, and half of them have a kind of this professional attitude. And, you know, I'm trying to give it a legitimate thing. And so we sang a couple of songs, and I've always wondered about that raising the vibration thing. And anyway, and I had the fixer, the stop, developer, and we were so prepared. Nothing was really happening very strongly, and I was getting really disappointed. And so all of a sudden, we turned on the lights. All of a sudden, it was still light outside. It was like 7:38 at night, so it wasn't fully dark outside. So suddenly we had a little bit of that late day light coming in. Suddenly everybody's laughing. And suddenly we took another turn at putting some photographic development paper after we had meditated with it into the developer. And son of a gun, there are all these wonderful images that started coming up. And what I realized is that we can do ritual about things, but it's the playful heart that often has the energy. That for any of us is the healing energy. It's the energy of your own passion and your own participation. These times with all the chaos and confusion, it's that playful attitude that will allow you to experience something and maybe not take it so seriously that you take away the joy of doing it. That is your passion, and that is your opportunity. So with chaos, we talked about control, and having a sense of self-control is the only control you can really have. You can try to control everybody else, you can try to control what's happening, you can try to control with attitudes, you can keep on trying all the time. But the only true control you have is you of you. And the wonder of that is, remember I mentioned to you that the soul wants to create. It wants to create joyfully and quickly. And if you notice, the boredom that can come into life is because if you get full of fear, if you get full of anxiety, if you get full of discomfort physically, if you get full of these things, the soul can quite often feel that boredom, and suddenly you find something else happening that you hadn't anticipated. It may or may not be something that you want. Doesn't mean the universe and the infinite is punishing. That's not true. It just means it's life. In your life at this time, a wonderful opportunity here in the church is exploration. Exploration into today, exploration into discovery regarding tomorrow, exploration of who you are and how you are. The beauty of that is the playfulness of you. It's play with life, or life will play with you. And it doesn't mean that it's, like I mentioned a minute ago, it's not punishment. It's the fact that if you are looking at new opportunity, or if you are looking at your life, or if you are evaluating things in any way, shape, or form, whether it's your house, your car, your job, your family, where you're living, doesn't matter. It's just opportunity at this time to make discovery. Don't be afraid of discovering and take a small step toward it. Control was the second law that I taught the other day. And then I taught clarity, because clarity means bring it into focus. So often I know for myself that when I would sit in church service after service after service after service many years ago, I was looking for something that would take me out of a period of time of uncertainty and move me toward life, somehow life. All of you have value and significance. All of you have lived accomplishments, whether they are small, whether they are big, and who cares? Who needs to evaluate what those accomplishments are? And all of those accomplishments are so vital to you and how you progress in life. I'm more serious today than normal. Of course, you missed the little fanfare that was going on over here in pew number 1. You're in pew number 2, Rosie. I'm so sorry. Because we were joking. However, I think these two men know that if there is something serious, I'm on it, or I would be on it. So are you. And so today, I want to encourage you to do one little thing that is playful. We sang a song, a prayer to St. Francis, and the movie Brother, Sun, Sister, Moon by Franco Zeffirelli that came out many thousands of years ago before some of you were born, was an incredibly beautiful one about the life of St. Francis. So while we were singing it, because it was a new hymn for me, so I was humming along, but there is a beautiful song called Brother, Sun, Sister, Moon. And I sang that for a long time. And we all have memories, and we all have memories that help us, and we all have memories that point us towards today and tomorrow. Use those memories that way and be playful if you can. Be playful enough to recognize that your life will continue to move on. You'll continue to have more opportunities, yes. You easily may have communication with someone who's passed away, but there's more. There's always more. And that's a discovery sometimes, and I would encourage you to make it. I thank you for coming today. I'm not done yet, so don't get too prepared. Is that in watching the movie Brother, Sun, Sister, Moon years ago, there were a whole group of us that were out searching in our own lives for any kind of understanding of self. We had people that were studying this and doing that. At that same time, I took Silva Mind Control. At that same time, I sat in a home circle for 2.5 years. At that same time, I went to church services 4 days a week. At that same time, I kept exploring, and I kept exploring, and I kept exploring. Our world right now, because the majority of people have cell phones in their face all day, or computers, or information. This is not good or bad, it just is what it is. The information that's available is huge. And now with AI, all manner of opportunity. But I want to tell you one thing. Allow nature, just while we got it, to have something that it shows you every day. And it might be something minor. It might be a leaf that is turned brown because the weather's changing. It might be a bird. I have a wren's nest right outside my kitchen window. And they come, and it's wonderful. And when the babies fly, the little babies teeter on the edge of the box, and you watch them fly away. And they fly away once and don't come back. I learned that when I expected them for dinner and they weren't there. But there's all kinds of things for each of you. When we give the principles about paying attention to our spiritual and natural laws, pay attention just a little bit. It's harder and harder with more asphalt and concrete. It's harder and harder sometimes because there's so many distractions and opportunities with other information that's flooding in and coming. But keep your own mind and your own thought in your own heart. Because the soul of you wants to create. And it wants to create impeccably and quickly. And the spirit of you works best when you're playing. And that playfulness of you is dynamic. It's the part of you that can open a Christmas present, and yeah, that's coming. It's the part of you that can explore while you're driving. I say good luck on that. There's all kinds of things. Play with life, so life doesn't play with you. And it just means so you feel more of your own sense of control of it. But one thing I will tell you is that this morning I heard the birds. And this morning I watched a squirrel. It was doing weird stuff. Its little tail was doing its thing. And listen, if you are able. And if you're not able to hear it, just watch. Because there is life out there, and the wonderful thing is, there's beautiful life right here. Enjoy the day. Thank you.